6 children. My goodness. And also ultra running. Now, ultra running, she's gonna describe it, what that is to us, because some people don't understand that. So I want to introduce, and I want to make sure I pronounce her name right. Jamali, is that correct?
It's Jamila.
Jamila, how do you pronounce the last name?
Abdul Rahim Mujahid.
Yes, 5 names. Okay.
That's right.
Now, the reason I asked her on, because I am a runner, but I am not quite the runner she is. She is what we call, I'm going to show you a picture here if you're on YouTube. She's called an ultra runner, okay? And an ultra runner runs some ultra stuff, okay? What that means is they run far. So, Jamila, tell us what an ultra runner is, and how'd you get involved with it?
Well, I got involved on a dare, kind of like. My background is 100, 200, 400 meter running track, okay? And I was at a meet in Atlanta, a master's track and field meet, and I was running the 400 meters and I got injured. And so through one of my therapy sessions, the therapist was talking about, the runners who run long distance, and long distance to me was like, a 10K. That was my, definition of a long distance.
And a 10K is 6.2 miles, right?
Exactly. Yes. So he was like, no, there's longer distances than that. And I was like, okay. So we literally were like Googling, what's the furthest somebody has ran. And then that's when we came across like 50 miles, 100 miles. It was like, people run this, type of running, do this type of running. And he was like, yeah, so he was like, but I bet you couldn't do that. And I was like, really? So that's how I got started, just on a dare. So I did, I looked up, what was the age group for me, like how many people have did that and this, that, or another. And so I connected with some people in Georgia who actually, they're called.
Wait. Let's go a little slower here.
Yeah.
Did you start running 5Ks, which is 3.1, and 10Ks? Or did you just start with the crazy races?
I started with the 5Ks. With the 5Ks.
By the way, I just sent everybody a note here to everybody. We are now live on YouTube. There's the link. If you can go to your Facebook page or whatever and tweet that out, we'd appreciate it. So we are live on YouTube. We can see Jamila. Am I pronouncing that right? Jamila. So she was on a dare, which is kind of crazy because you already had how many children?
I have 5 birth children and I have a stepdaughter. So I have 6 altogether.
My goodness, 6 children and a single mom, right?
Yes.
So how does a single mom with 6 children, some even start running? Let's not talk about 100 miles. Let's talk about how do you start running around the block? How did you first start?
Well, running has always been something that was like a stress reliever for me. So, everybody has their thing. And so working out and running was always mine. So what I did is, like I said, I started off with like, okay, let me see how long I can go without stopping. So that's when it went from 1 mile to 2 miles, etc. And then that's when I started looking up the different races that people run.
And I'm showing you picture. I'm showing you different pictures here. This is one I really like, Jamila. I like this one.
Yeah. That was a tough race. Woo.
What? 100? Wait a second. That's a 100-mile race.
Yes, that was from a race in Texas.
Well, there's no hills there, right?
Oh man, yes.
Oh, really?
We run in the mountains. When you do like the 100-mile races, they're mostly in mountains. They're not in the city or anything like that. They're, you go out to like the remote parts of wherever states you're at, and you're running in the mountains.
Wow. All right. So
Yeah.
then you slowly start going. Now, how long were you running short distances before someone made you a dare to run a long distance?
I would say about, give or take, about maybe like 5 years. About five
Okay, so
years.
you were running for 5 years. By the way, you've been interviewed at a number of different places. Trail and Ultra Running talks about your story. Also, the Marathon Training Academy talks about you. So you're getting pretty well known. That's a great picture of you right there. I love that.
Thanks.
Here's another one. You look a little tired there.
I was very tired.
Wow.
That
So
was one
that
of the 100-mile races.
100
Yeah.
miles. So anyway,
Yeah.
what was the farthest you ran before when somebody gave you a dare?
Before somebody had gave me a dare, I would say maybe about 2 miles. And that's from
You're
training.
kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy cow.
That
So
was
you're
it, really.
I know, Jane, Anthony, can you believe she only ran 2 miles? So what did someone say to you? What did they say?
Because I was a sprinter. So, sprinters, we don't run long distances. You're on the track. So they basically just told me I couldn't do it, and that's literally because of my background. My background was sprinting. I didn't do, endurance at all.
Wow.
So I didn't even know any clue about endurance. And, people even tease me now because even once I started running endurance races, I still didn't know. Like I would consider, running around a lap. And it's like, I didn't even know what a 50K was. Even though I was running it, I would literally wait for the race director to tell me, okay, you're almost done. Because I had no clue on how far it really was.
What was your first race? What was your first race?
My first race was 40 miles. 40
Oh
miles.
my goodness.
Yeah, it was a
First one?
trail race.
40
Yeah,
miles.
It was a trail race. And again, I had no clue about this stuff. So I didn't know what to bring. I'm bringing McDonald's, chicken breast,
No water?
French fries to eat. I didn't know. I didn't know you need bottles of water. I didn't know you need a backpack. I didn't know anything. And I didn't want to seem out of the, like out of my element by asking all these questions. So I said, okay, I'll just go. Now, mind you, my first trail race, and I know people were looking at me like, okay, what is this lady doing? You can't do this. I had just had my son. And my son he had to be, because the race was in November. So he was born in February. And so I was nursing him, but I didn't know, again, I hadn't ran this far. So I didn't know what it was going to do to my body. So I'm thinking, okay, fine. I'll still be able to run, nurse my son, go back and run. I'm thinking track in my head. That's not the case. When you're in the woods, you go out and you don't see anybody else. It's not like your car is not right there.
You're in the wilderness.
Wait a minute. And there's snakes in the woods. You're talking to somebody who grew up in the city. I don't do snakes. So I was freaking out. You know what I mean?
Did you see snakes?
I've never been in the trail. Yeah, you see snakes. You see snakes. You see bears. Look, I was even scared of the deers. I don't. I'm scared of the deers. I was like, I don't do deers bite you. What do they do? I didn't know. You know what I mean? So I'm serious. That first race was an adventure for me. But
did you finish 40 miles?
Look and not only did I finish the 40 miles, I came in first in my age group.
Whoa.
I guess those gorgeous snakes make you run faster.
They make you run really fast, because I didn't know if you jump over them or if you go back. And I was like, okay, I'm not going all the way back there because that took too long to even get where I am. So I kept going. That 40 miles took me like 8.5 hours, give or take, to finish.
That's really fast. What is that pace? What's that pace about?
8 hours, really? That's it, really?
I have no idea. I would have to go back and look at the website as far as to see what my pacing was. And that's another thing. Again,
she's fast.
Runner. I didn't wear a watch. I don't do, okay, well, you got to run 9-minute miles. I don't know. I'm just running to eat. They tell me, okay, this is one aid station. You got to get over here. So I would just run as fast as I can to get to the other place. You know what I mean? I'm serious. I was really one of those runners I had no clue what I was doing. I just did it. I just did it. And so that's one thing that kind of grabbed me, is that you don't have to have all this fancy equipment. And again, mind you, I'm running in Goodwill shoes. I didn't have a fancy shoe or nothing because I didn't know. So I'm running in regular little shoes. I tell people the funniest thing was I ran a race in some dollars sandals that I bought out of the dollar store.
My goodness.
They're regular little flip-flops. They got pictures of me and everything, but I finished the race. So that's why I tell people it's not so much, and no shade on any sneaker company, because they make good products. But if you don't have that money, you can get it done. You really can, because I ran over 300 miles in flip-flops, 99-cent.
Wait.
300 miles?
You got to slow down here. So
you got to tell us the details of that one.
I know, because you ran a 40-mile race.
I find it hard to believe.
and then, so do I. And then, although I ran a 50-miler and I ran a 62-miler, but my 50-miler took me 12 and a half hours, and your 40 miles took 8 hours. You're fast. So after the 40 miles,
because I didn't know that you need to pace yourself. I'm used to running it, hurrying up and getting done. But what happens is the faster you run it, of course, it's going to wreak havoc on your body. You know,
kidding.
I didn't know that.
So you ran full speed?
Running. I'm sorry.
You ran full speed?
Yeah. I didn't know. So of course, once I'm done though, I'm laid out on the ground, cramping up, because I didn't know you drink water. You need to have electrolytes. I didn't even know what an electrolyte was. So again, I'm just doing this purely off of what my body said. My body said go, so we went.
That's like a 12-minute mile.
After effects.
A 12-minute mile is very fast for 40 miles. That's amazing. So after the 40 mile, you loved it. What did you do next? What was your next race?
The next race I did was a 24-hour race.
Whoa, 24 hours.
Yeah. Like I said, once I finished that and the way it made my body feel, I just got online and, I said, okay, so people do this all the time. What can I really do? How much can my body take? I'm one of those type of people. I like to experiment on myself, crazy, I guess, But anyway, so I signed up for a 24-hour race just to see how much I can do. It was in Ohio. And what I did was that race, I think I did either 75 or 77 miles that first time. And
in 24 hours. That's also
in 24 hours. Yeah. My first attempt. And I learned so much at that race, because that race had a lot of what we call elite runners. And so they were telling me, okay, well, you need to slow down. You got all day to do this. And I'm like, no, this is the pace you need to run. I need to run fast. And they kept saying, you're gonna blow up.
You're gonna bonk, right? That's what they call it, bonk.
And I didn't know. So I kept going fast. Of course, what they said did come true after about maybe 12 and a half hours. I had nothing. So I'm literally at a walk at this point. So they're like, okay, in order to get your body out of that kind of, bonk kind of period, you got to eat some foods, you got to drink some liquids, That's when I really learned about electrolytes, salt tabs, things like that. No, you can't just eat candy the whole race. You need some type of carbs. That's when I started learning a little bit about it. Eat some beans, things like that. And by the time I finished that race, like I said, it was either 75 or 77 miles I got to run during that 24 hours.
Wow, that's amazing. So now you've run 2 ultras. Obviously, you like it. How many ultras have you run so far?
I've been doing it 12 years now, and I've ran over I've ran over about 250 ultras now.
Oh my gosh.
200 and what? 50?
No, 250.
250,
yeah.
And each one is over what, 50 miles mostly, or over 40 miles?
Oh yeah. I 100 mile is my jam. I
You
like
make-
the 100-mile distance.
You're making me
That's-
feel
that's
really
what-
lazy right now.
No,
My exercise is nothing compared to yours.
no. That's,
Well, you
I
know-
just, you know,
You know what they say, that women, they are, when it comes to ultra racing, they are more geared to it. And a lot of
Really?
women, oh yes, they are the gap between ultra men and ultra women in terms of speed is very, very close. And sometimes women are winners, overall winners of these ultra races. So it's
Wow,
really
wow.
interesting.
let me tell you, I was just at a race. And I don't know if we can name races or what
Yeah,
have
go
you.
ahead, go ahead. You name it. You can name it.
Okay, so I was at Jackpot Ultra. Okay, it's a world championship race, literally just probably a week and a half ago. Camille Herron broke the world record. She was
Yeah,
the
I saw that.
She was the overall winner. Okay, she beat
I
all
saw
the
that.
men, all the women, everybody. She
Oh,
ran
wow.
100 miles in what? 12 hours and 41 minutes.
I think her pace
promise
was
you.
under 9 minutes a mile. It's
Yeah,
mind-boggling.
I'm telling you,
Mind-boggling.
I watched this happen. Not one time did she let up. This woman, oh my gosh, it was beautiful. It was beautiful to watch. She was so gracious. She was just so focused. Nobody could touch her. Nobody. And I mean, the guys were really trying to catch her. That was the
Of
only
course.
time I can say it was totally even, because they could not catch her. She
Well,
was
you know,
wonderful.
let me give everybody an idea. An excellent runner, which is not easy to do, an excellent, almost world-class runner can run 100 miles in 24 hours. That's the goal, okay? 24 hours, not many people can do that, okay?
Is that
But she
straight
ran-
or like taking breaks or something? That's
No
just straight,
breaks.
right?
Well,
No,
you know,
it's straight.
it's
I mean,
straight.
you may take a break to use the restroom, but other than that, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? You're continually running. You're running, not
Now,
walking. You're running.
And this woman did it in 12 hours and 40 minutes, which is mind-boggling, mind-boggling. Now, do you mind telling us what's your fastest time you ever ran a 100-mile in?
I think the fastest I did it in is like 28 hours. I think
Wow.
28 hours is my fastest. And that was back when I first started. Because like I said, then I didn't even know. So I would just try to go as fast as I could. My problem always came is at night. I would get sleepy at night. Because again, I have children. So, and I have no sponsors or anything like that. And not to take
You
anybody.
need a sponsor.
Yeah,
But I would
definitely.
come from
Sponsor
work
you.
and then go to the race. So that would be my thing. I would come from work, go to the race, and start running. So that's what would make me keep going on and on and on and on. And so with that, it takes a little time.
Now we have about 8 minutes left. What's the longest ultra you ever ran?
The longest I did was run across the state of Tennessee, Vol State, which is 314 miles.
Oh my goodness.
So the longest I've done
My
with getting
goodness.
lost with that is like 325 miles. That's the longest I've ever ran.
Did
Wow.
you sleep in between or was that nonstop?
Vol State, yeah, you sleep. Yeah, you're gonna sleep.
You have to
Yeah.
sleep, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna sleep on that one.
So
Yeah,
wow.
they take like a full 8 hours or do 4 hours
No,
in between or
absolutely
something like
not,
that.
because the clock is
Yeah.
always running, so you can't take. You sleep maybe like 3 hours or so, and mind you, when you're sleeping outside. You're not sleeping
Wow.
in a bed or anything like that. You're sleeping on the side of the road. You might be
Wait,
sleeping.
wait. You find a little spot, you lay down on the grass and you go to sleep?
Yeah, because you got
My
to
God.
keep going. The time clock is going, so it's not like you got time. You
You have,
you
like,
want to finish.
A sleeping bag or something to sleep on, or you just sleep right on the grass or something.
You sleep on the ground.
But with
How
other
are you
runners around you,
across the state? You can't carry anything, so you got to sleep
Yeah.
on the ground. You know
Wow.
what I mean? And that's
And-
actually the race where I had to buy the little sandals, because the bottom of my sneakers wore out. So I bought some sandals from the dollar store and ran the race in that.
Anthony, I'm just going to answer a question you asked. Usually in the longer races, the
Yeah.
people are so spread out, you very rarely see somebody. It's unusual to be able to be with someone that's running the same pace you are. When I ran my 100K, I was trying to stay with two other people because I didn't know the route. I just couldn't do it. So there's nobody around.
Absolutely.
So
That's so true.
you kind of like fall back a little bit and lose people. I guess you kind of
Because
give up
it's
the
very
opportunity of
hard
winning.
for that amount of time for everybody to be the exact same pace. It's very hard. And like I said, you're talking hours upon hours. That race took me 8 days to finish.
Oh
So
my goodness.
it's very rare that
Superwoman.
straight days that you're going to be the exact same pace as somebody else, unless you two are just running as a group. But other than that, of course, somebody's going to be in front of you, somebody's behind you. You're not going to sleep at the exact same time. You're not going to eat. It's real different. So
what's next for you? What's on the agenda for you next?
What's on the agenda for me next is I'm trying to finish 40 100-mile races this year.
Wait, 40? That's 4,000 miles, right?
No, right. I want to run 40 100-mile races this year, and I have 2 200-mile races on my calendar as well.
Wow.
And you don't have any sponsors yet? Or maybe some?
No.
You should have all kind of sponsors by now.
It takes time. It takes time. Yeah, it takes time.
It's Anthony, it's not the most popular sport. It's not like Usain Bolt, which is very, very popular. It's kind of a different group of people. They're not even pushing the Olympics to have an ultra race in the Olympics. I was in New York and I asked the team there, I says, well, listen, why don't we approach the Olympics? Because we had a lot of ultra people and a lot of high-end elite athletes in New York City, that area. Mm-hmm. And they said, no, we don't want to make it this corporate thing. So I'd love to see 100-miler in the Olympics, or a 50-miler, or I don't know, whatever, but I don't see there's no plans that I know of that they're going to do that. Do you know?
No, there aren't any. I mean, the closest you have as far as big sponsorship would be like the USA endurance teams, like the 100K team or the 24-hour team. That's about the biggest there is.
And you're trying to get into that, right? You're trying to be the first African-American female on part of that team. Well, we're here to support you and help you in that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you think some of these athletes? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you think some of these athletes in the Olympics or some of these other sports could do what you do, or they just trained to do like sprints and
it takes an adjustment. It takes
Mm-hmm.
an adjustment. And literally what I say about that is because it's hard to run like that every single weekend. It's not like I'm doing 100-mile race and then 30 days pass. I'm doing it basically every 5 days. I'm running this every 5 days in between working during the week, taking the kids back and forth to school. So it's not a lot of people that I think can do that. I really don't think it's a lot of the people that can do that.
You have to be very organized. I'm sure you're very organized.
It's a lot of stuff that I just don't have time for. And I tell people, I said, I'm not being rude, but it's only so many hours in a day. So of course, you sacrifice. So it's no partying, no hanging out, nothing like that. It's run the kids, work, run the kid, that's what you have to do. That's all there is. That's all you have time for.
How many miles a week are you roughly averaging? I know it goes up and down, but how many miles a week do you average?
About 55. About 55. That's literally because I run every weekend. So I got to save my legs, There's no need to practice something that you're about to do again anyway. Your body is not going to forget what you just did.
55 isn't bad. When I was doing marathons, getting ready for marathons, I was doing about 80 miles. A week.
Mhm.
By the way, I don't know if I told you, I ran with the torch in the 1984 Olympics. So
That's wonderful.
Oh, cool.
yeah, I have a
That
copy of
has
it.
to be special.
I have the torch at home. Yeah. So it was
Wow.
nice.
Cool.
Yeah, that was
Great
cool.
That's
memory. Great
huge.
memory. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Well, where can we see you next? Now you've run 250 ultras with the average distance of, I don't know, let's call it, I'm going to call the average distance you did 70 miles for argument's sake. So
Yeah.
you've run 17,000 miles over the last 10 years. Wow. Just so everybody knows, if you're a runner like me, and I'm kind of a weekend runner, I go to run clubs. It's not easy to hit 1,000 miles a year. That's always been my goal, to try to get to 1,000 miles a year. Now that takes, if you divide 1,000 by 10, that's 100 miles a month. Takes a
Right.
little bit less than that because it's 12 months. Oh, well, I can do 100 miles a month. Well, divide that by 4, that's 25 miles a week. Now,
Mhm.
Jamal's only doing double that, and she's doing double that, and then she's doing 200-mile races. So
Exactly.
I'm trying to point out how complicated it is and what an amazing thing. Any awards that you've won, Jamal?
Just like I've won awards, like doing the most races in the US for a woman in 1 year. I got, and that was from Ultra Running Magazine, from Ultra Sign Up through Ultra Running Magazine. And just little awards here and there, but ultra running is not, quote unquote, the big sport that
No, it's
draws
not. You're
all of
right.
that.
You're right.
What it is most people are not going to, you're not going to get 30,000 people standing there waiting for somebody for 24 hours. That's how
Yeah.
long, that's the
That's a lot.
average of our races. So somebody will be more apt to go to a track and wait for somebody to finish in 2 minutes or 5 minutes versus, okay, this person is not going to finish until tomorrow morning. So it's hard to get a crowd that will do that. Now, when we got shut down during the pandemic, a lot of people did find out about ultra running. They were watching online like, oh my gosh, these people are still running. They're still competing against each other. So that did draw a lot of people into ultra running. So now it's getting a new fan base. So who's to say what's going to come later on? But as of right now, there is not a lot of sponsorship that's saying, okay, boom, here you go. We want you to try out these shoes, or, here, let's see if this product will make you run faster, or, there's not, it's in the works, and I can see it coming down the line. But as of right now, mm-mm.
Yeah.
And even
Now
on
I'm aware of a race in New York City. They go around the block. I think it's a half mile, and they do 300 miles. Have you ever? I don't know. Forget the name of that race. Have you ever done that
it's
one?
Sir Tommy's. They run for 52 days around a city block, and it's 3,100 miles.
Whoa! Yeah,
3,100 miles. It's in New York City. It's 52 days around a city block. They have to and there's a lot of stipulations to that race. They only can go for 18 hours a day. They make them sleep. But most races, you go until you drop. But that race is regulated where that you only get 18 hours a day to run. Now, mind you.
Do you know Trishul? You ever hear that name, Trishul Churn? He runs that race frequently.
Yes and no. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know how you'll see a name, because it's not a lot of people in the ultra running community that have.
It's a small community.
Yeah,
it's not really
very
popular
small
right now. Huh? Yeah.
Right. So you'll see the same people over and over again from state to state to state. And of course, the more miles you run, the bigger your name is, And with me being African American, if I show up to a race, it's very hard to miss me because there's not a lot. 9 times out of 10, if I go to a 100-mile race, it's just me. And if it's not just me, out of 300 runners, it may be one other person that looks like me. So
wow. So in other
Yeah.
words,
Oh, yeah.
I never thought of this. So it's not popular in the African-American community.
No, and again, because of the amount of money that's
Oh,
that it
Yeah,
costs.
yeah, yeah.
So, most races average anywhere between $200 to $300. And then you got to factor in the
whoa.
travel. So not, in our community, it's not a lot of people that are doing that,
Yeah,
It's just like what I want to say, triathlons. There's a certain income that draws people to that sport, basically because of
That's a lot. I just did my first triathlon. I moved to Florida. I'm in Florida now. I did my first triathlon last year in December. It was a short one. And
Yeah.
you got to buy a bike. You got to buy a swim. You got to buy a wetsuit. You got to buy
Exactly.
eyeglasses. You got to buy there's so many things
Everything.
you got to buy. Yeah.
So that's one of the things that prevents people from getting into this sport, even as far as ultra running, because you don't have the perceived equipment. But that's why
Yeah.
I always tell people, I said, I know I may not have the same equipment as X, Y, and Z, but I got the same result. I finished.
Yeah.
My shoes may have came from the Goodwill. They have the name brand $200 shoes, but we got the same result. I finished,
Yeah.
So if you really focus in on finishing, if you really put the training in, first and foremost, if you pray, because I'm just a strong believer that a lot of things that I was protected from, it had nothing to do with me. Do you see what I'm saying? I can't control a snake, but I know I prayed hard enough that I didn't get bit. Because there were times that you're going to fall asleep in the woods. You're going to fall asleep. There are times that you're going to, be out on the mountains and you might be a little groggy, but thank God I never have fallen off of a mountain.
Well, have you ever fallen? Have you ever fallen?
Oh, I fall all the time. I finished one race. I
ran one race. I fell 8 times in one race.
Oh, wow.
Look at one race. I actually I fractured my thumb. I fractured my thumb. And again, like I said, you're in the middle of the woods. So I had to run from mile 68 to 97 with a fractured thumb.
God bless.
Yeah.
I can't afford for them to helicopter in and rescue me. I got to get back to that finish line.
Do they have medics or anything, or anybody to help on the way, or like at the end of the race, maybe? Or?
No, not on the way, but
they're at the base camp. You know what I mean? And you sign a waiver saying that, okay, if somebody has to come in there and get you, you're responsible for paying for that,
Wow.
Which is tens of thousands of dollars.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
they're
like, yeah, we'll come get you. I'm building a new pool. I'm building a second house. Whoa.
Yeah, they'll get their money. Hey, you flipped a little bit.
You flipped your phone there.
Oh, wait. I'm dying. It went out.
Uh-oh.
All right, well, we're almost done. Listen, any last thoughts? Because Tony and I are going to take the last few minutes to talk about some other stuff. Any last thoughts you want to pass on? We appreciate you joining us. I think we lost her.
I hope not. Yeah, maybe her phone died.
All right. Well, that's where we're at. All right. Tony, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I had to come on here and join you. I didn't know what you were talking about today, but.
Well, that was different, wasn't that?
Yeah. That's a lot of miles to do. And I can't imagine. I mean, it makes me feel lazy. I mean.
Well, you look like you're in shape. You look like you're in pretty good shape there.
Well, I bike a lot. I like to bike every. I'm a part of some social biking clubs in Brooklyn. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
I used to
biker.
biking, but so many bikers I know crash. So many crashes.
Oh, it's hard in the city too, especially in Manhattan with the potholes and the people and the distractions and the stoplights. But you get around it. Especially, it's always better if you go with a group because they have spotters and people who block traffic and look out and leaders. So it works. It works out.
Have you ever fallen or had an accident?
I did, but it wasn't during a a ride. It was just being in the neighborhood in Brooklyn, and I got hit by a car, my front wheel, then I went flying, and then
Whoa, holy cow, that sounds serious.
yeah, I tore my a tendon in my right arm, and about a few weeks later, I got it mended, and it was back to normal. So some
Wow.
therapy, What about you?
Wow.
Like, as far as like your running?
Well, I just ran in the woods. I ran, I could show you, I don't have a picture on here, but I could send it to you. I ran what's called the Forgotten 100. I ran only 15 miles, but there was a lot of rain in Florida. 20% of the race, you were running in water, sometimes up to your knees, most of the time up to your mid-calf. So you're actually running in water. So that's 20%. And then about 60% of the time you're running on mud. And if I don't know if you know about the trees in Florida, they're different. They have what they call knees. You ever heard of those knees? The trees have knees.
Like,
So
was it like uprooted roots or something, or?
Yeah, to get air. So the trees are in this water, right? But they come up and there's these stumps only about this high.
Yeah.
Well, you can't see them when they're underwater. So like you're falling. So if you try to go off the path, you're going to fall. So basically the safest thing is just go right through the middle of the water. And there was one point, I'm looking for alligators as I'm running through.
Yeah, was it like a swampland or something, or?
Yeah, it's swamp, but there's no
Really?
alligators. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I have pictures on my phone, but I don't have them. Maybe
Yeah,
I
you
can
gotta post some pictures sometimes. That's crazy. I can't. So you were running with like a bunch of other people, or?
Yes, it was a race. I did pretty well.
Okay.
I basically died at the end, but yeah, I did pretty good. Yeah, I went out.
Yeah.
It was a crazy day. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine running through that, and it's like literal like swampland in Florida. So I guess you do really have to look out for alligators and like whatever else is in the water, right?
Well, we're north. There's not a lot of alligators here, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So I haven't seen one the whole time I've been here.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I want to live in that part of Florida that there's no alligators.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
come north. It's really nice up here. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
really
still dealing
happy
with the
here.
rats and the other things here in New York. Not in my place, but of course outside. When you go outside, they're just like some of them as big as small dogs. So you know how it is. You grew up in New York City, so you know how it is.
Yeah, I was born in the Bronx. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So especially in the subways on the lines, the uptown and in Manhattan, the rodents are like crazy big. So.
You wanted to talk about anything else today?
Man, nothing in particular. I'm just glad that we have the show on. I miss Willie. I guess we'll see him on Tuesday, but for the most part, well, what about Ukraine? What do you think about Ukraine and Russia?
Well, let's talk about that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to find, as we're speaking, a list of where the Russian is attacking, because the whole thing was kind of strange. It was supposed to be nothing, and then it became a peacekeeping, and now they've literally taken over the whole area. I'm going to show you.
Yeah. It was like air troop was landing in the middle of parts of the Ukraine and just taking over the streets and airports and stuff.
Let me show you a picture. And this picture is old. It's actually been more advanced. Their attacks, they basically attacking everywhere. It's like shock and awe. So I'm not happy how our government has handled it. I don't think they were strong enough.
Exactly.
I think they were very weak-kneed, and being weak is gives other people incentive to do bad things.
Yeah.
And we learned that with Hitler. What happened with Hitler was that England was saying, they met with England and they said, oh, he said, we're not going to attack anybody. So the chancellor comes back to England, peace in my time. And then he marches into Poland and took it over in a day or 24 hours.
That's crazy.
So these people, these despots, they're very evil. They're very good at talking to people. And if you think, oh, they're nice, I can have a nice relationship with them. I feel comfortable with them.
Yeah.
It's a lie, you know.
Yeah,
And that's what happened with here. Putin says, I'm not going to attack. Then he says, well, there are people calling for me. They're separate. They're separating from Ukraine. So I'm going to enter as a peacekeeping mission to give those people what they want.
Yeah.
Of course, they had sent people into those towns in advance to cause trouble. And now it's an all-out attack. And I don't see what our government is doing. Now, what are your thoughts on it, Tony?
I don't know too much about the Ukraine and Russian ordeal, but about the little bit that I do know is that I know Ukraine helped Russia out in some situations, or kind of like a little brother, big brother situation, I guess. And he helped them or gave them supplies, or had this relationship where, well, Russia wasn't dependent on the Ukraine, but the Ukraine was basically like giving them some resources, and it was like kind of like a bad relationship. I guess a good analogy would be like a woman being in an abusive relationship. It starts out good, and the woman gives everything she can to the guy, and then the guy comes back later and it's like, hey, I want to, you know, they switch up and they come back and they get like really irate and angry and start abusing them again, even after they said that they wouldn't do it anymore. And I think Russia just kind of switched off on them. Like they had a good relationship and then they just came back and started like abusing them. And I know it's a long history with Ukraine and Russia. But yeah, like you said, Russia was like, well, we're not going to, basically told the whole world, we're not going to attack Ukraine. But then they just did these like these airstrikes and started doing these paratroopers in the Ukraine and landing and literally taking over. I think they have control of the a Ukrainian airport right now, and they're building like a bridge.
Really? I didn't hear that. My goodness.
Yeah, yeah. I just saw it on some social media. So
things are moving very fast.
yeah. And I think it's I don't know if it's the same as colonization. They're trying to take it over, but I think Russia's trying to build their territory even more.
Look at that.
And
look at that.
That's horrible.
Some of these photos we have here.
Yeah, and the Ukraine being a lot smaller, I guess they were just in this relationship, and Russia was like, well, now we're going to come back and flip the switch and just take over. And I'm surprised too, like you said, you know, that they just came and did it like that. But anytime I think you're messing with Putin, is got to be.
Look at that. I mean, yeah. I don't know what the answer is. I know a lot of people says we can't send Americans over there. I don't know what the other European countries are doing. They should be doing something. I don't hear anything about them getting involved. It'd be interesting to hear if they could possibly, do something to deter him. They shouldn't even got this far.
It shouldn't even got this far because now people lost their lives. So it should have been a lot of efforts to prevent that, not just talks. But I think they went off on Putin's promise or something that he's not going to attack. But I don't get it.
Well, I tell you, they're saying that most Americans are not happy with how this administration has handled this crisis.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They've been too weak-kneed. They're weak-kneed with our border. It's kind of funny that they're saying on one hand, we got to protect the borders of Ukraine, but they don't protect the borders of the United States. They're importing voters. That's what they're trying to do, because if they have control of a local town or city, they can vote the voting rules. They can change the voting rules. So they can come in and say, okay, well, if you're undocumented, you can still vote. And this is one way that the Democrats want to guarantee that they'll have lifelong jobs. So these are things that don't help the country. It weakens the country. And other countries can see it. We pull out of Afghanistan was horrible. We still have Americans there.
Right. Yeah.
He was warned and told. He didn't listen. We knew this was happening, and
Yeah.
I don't know what could have done. All I know is that when Reagan was about to be president, and the president before him was Carter, who was also very weak.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened? Iran released the prisoners that they had, and when you're facing strong opposition, you consider what the right thing to do is.
Yeah.
Now I don't even know what the right response would be. I mean, do you have any idea, any suggestions you think?
I think it could be a thing of let Ukraine get attacked, and then different countries, the United States as well as any other country involved, in the continent, Europe, will go in and then try to set up their own, try to help and repair and also establish some kind of power. If Russia doesn't do it themselves, which they probably will, because obviously they're doing it now, but it seems like it might be an investment to go in and take over, and to make money, and to basically just take over the land and colonize it. I don't know. I think it might be a self-interest of these different countries to wait till it gets kind of destroyed and then go in and play Big Brother or rescuer. So I don't know.
Well, I see a report that they show 150 attack helicopters massing on the borders, ready to go into Kyiv. Kiev. How do you pronounce it? Kyiv?
Kiev, I think.
Thank you. Kiev. Thank you. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do know that there are some auxiliary soldiers, men and women, who have taken up arms to help fight their local towns, the areas. Some documentary I was watching on some news station I was watching. A lot of everyday people have started to train with in military style and with some of their own army in the Ukraine to help out.
Well, I think that's good, but when I see the mass amount of equipment that Russia has, I was shocked how many tanks, how many planes they have. I don't know if they can stand up to what's happening.
Yeah, you got to fight though, because that's your homeland. But they probably won't be able to stop the rush of soldiers of Russia, because they're just going to overpower them. And yeah. So do you think America, because of our disinvolvement with this issue, is kind of like on their? You think they have an ulterior motive, or do you think America is just not interested, or obviously they're interested, but they're, I don't know. Do you think like they're America's
well, in other words, what's the motive for the president administration being weak-kneed?
Yeah.
Well, I think they just don't know how to deal with people that that have evil in their mind. They think they can talk to them and they'll change. But there's been a lot of money. Remember that the Biden made millions and millions of dollars in Ukraine. Remember they hired his son. He made millions. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And there are people are saying that, and I can't verify this, so I'm just saying what I've heard, that the administration wants to hide all the stuff all the dirt that they were doing in Ukraine. So that's one reason they're allowing this to happen. I don't know if that's true. That's just something I'm hearing. It's a crazy world. We're looking at pictures now of what's going on in Ukraine. People, they're saying something ridiculous, like 5 million people could be fleeing there. I don't know
where they're going to come to, though. You think they're going to try to come to America?
Well, I can't swim from there. I don't think so.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I'm not. Again, I'm not an expert on foreign affairs. I'm wondering why I don't hear what the other European countries are doing. In other words,
yeah. Well, you said Reagan. I mean, not Reagan, but Jimmy Carter, is Christian, and Biden is supposedly Christian. So you think it has something to do with their faith and trying to be passive and trying to see what happens?
I don't think there are a lot of people say they're Christians, but you have to look. You don't ever listen to anybody's words when they say they're Christian. You look at their actions.
Oh, definitely,
Okay?
yeah.
So his son he's taking care of his son. He's destroying this country. Yeah, he's not acting like a Christian at all.
No.
And a lot of people don't realize how Christian this country was. Here we're looking at some more pictures. But this country was formed on Christian principles.
Yeah, values and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, we have to have without a standard, there is no standard. You have to have some type of standard. So this is what's going on in Ukraine. My goodness, people's homes are getting hit. Look at that.
Yeah, I know it's an effort too. In one of my devotionals, I read about different reports on the Christian effort, to go in and help Christian people, Christians.
There's a great organization called Martyrs.
I think that's what emails that I get. Yeah.
What's it called? Something Martyrs, the Martyrs for Christ, I think.
Yeah, Martyrs for Christ. Yep.
I think so. I'm not sure. That's a great organization. So listen, here's my opinion. I think you share it with me. I want to encourage the churches to rise up. There's no change. I don't think significant change unless we get back to the standard of the Bible and Jesus Christ. And the churches, I'm just so afraid that what's happening in Germany is going to happen here. And what happened in Germany was the church said, well, he's doing a lot of good for the country, Hitler. Yeah. So, we're gonna let him go in. So they said to their people, no, it looks good. Don't worry about it. Then all this stuff happened. Then the German people abandoned the church en masse. So I'm afraid that's going to happen here. Church attendance is down. They're not really dealing. They're afraid of their own, I don't know, financial money. I don't know what it is. They're afraid of offending people. Well, let me tell you something, Anthony, and I want to let everybody hear this. In the Bible, in the Gospels, 100% of the time, the person who is offended is always in the wrong.
Yep.
The person that is offended. So if someone is offended and they tried to come at you and saying, I'm offended at what you're saying, the answer is, well, I didn't write the book. It's the truth. I'm sorry to offend you, but maybe you could consider it. And Jesus Christ is offensive. Because if people are left to their own ideas, they have nothing to do with Christ. So when you talk about, hey, listen, evolution, there's no such thing as evolution. When you look at all the variations of the trees, the plants, the animals, it's clearly seen that there is a creation. If there is a design, there is a designer. If there's a creation, there's a creator.
Exactly.
Okay. And what happens is that people believe these lies. And we have to see that we have to get people to understand that Christianity is a good thing. Jesus Christ says, my burden is light. My burden is light. So pick any other religion, they have rules and regulations and this and that. Well, true Christianity is not in a church. True Christianity is the ecclesia, the people, and that's what we're trying to do here with CFC. And please go to our page, cfcpage.com, CFC page, which is Christian Fellowship Council Worldwide, cfcpage.com. Please hit the donate $5. Do us a favor, just donate $5, cfcpage.com, so we can stay on the air. We want to get more guests. If you're interested in getting on the show, go to our website, which is facebook.com/Christian Fellowship Council, and we will consider everybody. And we want to hear some interesting things that are going on. With that being said, what's been going on in your life, Anthony? Anything you want to share with the audience?
Just trying to get some things together and just trying to join some ministries in my church. Maybe one or two I'm going through right now, and I got to fill out an application today and to help.
Oh yeah, what kind of ministry?
One is called New Hope Ministry, and it goes out into the streets of New York to help homeless people. And it's
That's
different
cool.
tiers, different levels of it. You can help people on the street, people in shelters, you know, in other areas. So I have some time on my hands, so I got to do something with that and see what God leads me, as well as a men's ministry I'm trying to get involved in a little bit more, you know, because I don't want to be too idle, you know. So.
Well, my story is interesting. I started going to Bible study, and I think we got like 45 seconds, so I'll go quick.
Okay.
I met this guy who had a million questions, and I would meet him every day at work. He'd have a question. I didn't know the answer. I was new Christian, so I'd ask the pastor. I'd do some study. I'd look at the Bible. I would look things up. This is before the internet. You couldn't Google anything. So next day I would come back to the answer, and as soon as I showed him the answer, he would have a second question immediately.
Yeah.
And this went on for 6 months. People were telling me I'm wasting my time. But what God was doing was preparing me how to answer people's questions. So I love talking to non-Christians and just having a conversation of how we're doing. So I think we're going to be going out soon.
Okay. Good to see you, Gary.
All right. Thank you. Let's see. I'm going to just check. Hey, tell us what else you've been going on.
Oh man, not much. Just physical condition, trying to stay good and getting through the last part of this weather. Hopefully spring will come pretty soon.
Keep on. Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to just check something. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I definitely would like to get down to Florida. I was considering West Palm Beach, but I'm not too sure. I have some friends down there. So.